Massive welcome to this Capcut training. So my goal for this training is to help get you up to speed and using Capcut, creating some amazing looking videos fast. Capcut is an absolute beast of a program and there is a lot in there. So this course is definitely not going to cover off on every little detail that's in there. This is not an advanced course. This is though designed to get you up to speed fast, taking you through the fundamentals and all the key stuff that you need to know to have success with this as fast as possible. So really quickly, if we haven't met before, my name is Justin Brown and I run a YouTube channel called Primal Video with my brother Mike, where we help people work smarter, not harder when it comes to video creation, audience building, and generating income online. So in this training, we're gonna get you up to speed, editing a YouTube ready video using Capcut, the free version. We're gonna be applying essential editing techniques to transform raw footage into a completed final YouTube video. So by the end of this, you will have edited and be ready to share a short video on a topic of your choice. Also, feel free to use the sample footage that we've provided to follow along with the class, or if you prefer, you can use your own video footage. But if you are new to video editing, then I'd suggest that you focus on something simple, such as a personal introduction or a brief tutorial first. So for extra context, Capcut is an amazing video editing tool. It's fast and it's easy to use and allows you to create amazing looking videos whether you're on your smartphone or your computer. Because it's one of the few apps out there that actually works across different devices, including Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. So I'm a big fan of Capcut for a few reasons, but the first one, and probably the most important one, is that it is easy to use. It's got a really intuitive interface. So for someone who's never edited before, this is gonna allow you to jump in, to get up to speed, to start editing your videos down easily without the overwhelm that you would have in a lot more complex applications. But it's also got a ton of extra, more advanced stuff in there as well, making it great for someone who is at that intermediate to advanced level too. Some of those more advanced features include things like AI background removal, advanced keyframing and animation, smooth slow motion, and green screen effects. I also love how easy it is in Capcut to repurpose your content into different formats so that you can easily maximize the time that you're spending creating your content and essentially create multiple versions of your videos for different platforms or different formats. So for example, if you're starting off with a 16:9 or a widescreen video, it's really easy to repurpose or to recreate a portrait version for TikTok or Shorts from that original inside of Capcut. And again, all of this is really straightforward, really intuitive, and really simple. Now, while there is a free version of Capcut available, there are some limits now with how many videos you can export or save out without a watermark or without branding for free. So if you do want to remove this limitation and also unlock all the features, all the functionality, all the effects, then that's where you will need to be on the paid version of Capcut. Regardless though, the free version is a great place to start, and that's what I'm using in this training too. But I also want to note that Capcut is constantly evolving and changing and updating, and I absolutely love this about them. There is no other app or tool that I've seen that rolls out updates and new features as frequently as Capcut. They've got a big focus on helping people make videos easier. So they're building out a ton of cool AI functionality that's all included in Capcut to help with that goal too. But what I've noticed now from using Capcut for years is that a lot of features tend to be released as free first off, and then over time they move a lot of that extra stuff, the more pro level stuff, into the paid version. So that even if you're seeing something that looks a little bit different to me, that you can still keep pressing forward and understanding how all of this stuff works and how it all fits together. But overall, I think Capcut is the best all-rounder video editing tool out there right now. It's great for absolute beginners right through to people who are more advanced but are looking for a fast, effective workflow. And finally, as we go through, any related links or resources for the video that you're watching, they're all now under the projects and resources area. So if you hear me say things like links are in the description or there's more information linked below, that's where they now are. So let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who aren't aware, there's actually different versions of Capcut out there in the wild right now. There is a version which is very similar on desktop and on mobile devices. Those two are very, very similar. And then there is a web-based version, and that is a totally different thing. Even though it's branded Capcut, even though it's called a Capcut video editor, the web-based version, the one that you access through their website, is actually a totally different thing to what we're covering off in the training here, which is the Capcut app or the Capcut video editing software. The web version is heavily cut down. There is nowhere near as much control or features and tools and things in there. You can still do some very basic edits in there, but it is nothing in comparison compared to what you get access to in the mobile version or the desktop app. So I wanted to stress this point home early on in this training to make sure that you are using the right version. You want to download and install the software on your computer, on your Mac or Windows computer, or you want to download and install the app on your iOS or Android device. That is what this training is centered around, not the online web-based version. Maybe one day they'll be able to bring all the features and the functionality from the app and from the desktop version over to the web so that we don't even need to install anything. But for right now, you just need to know that they're totally different and that the web-based version is really nothing in comparison to what you get access to on the desktop and the smartphone. So there's a lot of people out there that don't enjoy video editing. It's that necessary evil for you to create effective, good-looking videos is the whole editing thing. Don't worry, I'm here to make this process much, much easier for you. But the biggest place that I see a lot of people get stuck when they approach video editing is that they just jump straight in, they add on a few effects, few color grades to try and make their footage look good, make it look pretty straight up front. And by adding these effects and color grades and stuff up front, you can also slow down your computer performance or your phone performance, making the whole thing even more painful to edit in as well. So the answer to this is the fastest and easiest way to edit your footage down is by following an effective process, a step-by-step process, what to do when in a structured order for best efficiency, but also for best results and performance on the way through. So I'm going to quickly run through what the steps are in the order that you should ideally be performing these for optimum results. And then you'll also find that we've structured a lot of the content here in this training to help you edit and follow along in the same way. So instead of just starting your editing project, jumping in, adding in a bunch of effects and stuff, the first thing that you should do is to make sure that your project is set up correctly first. Make sure that you've got the right frame rate, the right resolution. Make sure that you've got everything set up the way that you need before you even bring in your footage. From there is when we're going to import our footage. Now, what I'd suggest that you're doing here is bringing in your primary footage first. What is the core footage, the core story that you want to edit down? Let's bring that in first. And then we're going to base edit that. So we're going to remove all the bad takes, all the mistakes, anything that you don't want to have in the finished video. We're going to remove all of that stuff up front. Again, we're not focusing on making it look pretty. We want to make sure that we actually have everything to tell the story that we want to tell before we waste any more time. In case we don't have something that we need or there's been an issue with the footage that we've shot, this allows us to check all of that as we go through. Now, editing this way is also an iterative process in that we're constantly refining and tweaking our edit every time we play through it or work through it. So once we've gone through and we've done this base edit, our first pass, removing all the bad stuff, all the stuff that we're definitely not going to use, the next step then is to bring in any B-roll or overlay footage onto our timeline. So this could be any other shots that you want to show, any other graphics or animations that you want to bring in. We're going to add that next layer there at that point. We're also, as we're doing that, doing another pass. So we're tweaking up some of our cuts, tweaking up some of our edits. Again, we're refining this as we go. Once we've got our primary footage in, we've got our B-roll or our overlay footage in as well. This is where we can start to make some adjustments to the clips themselves. So we could zoom in, we could crop, we could scale, we could rotate our clips to start to get them closer to how we'll want in the finished product. Next, we're going to go through and add in any text and graphics into our videos, followed by adding any transitions or effects to make our story flow. Once we're happy with that is when we dive deeper into the effects and we look at adjusting the speed of your clips, look at stabilizing your clips, adding any animations, doing your background removal. All of that stuff then happens at this stage. From there, the next step is to add any music and sound effects. Once those are in and we've got them in place, we're then going to go through and adjust all of our volume levels across all of our clips so that everything is set how we'd like it. And then one of the last things that we do is we make it look good. This is where we can go through, apply different color grades, different looks, different filters. This is where we make it look the way that we want it to look. Again, this is something where a lot of people dive into this stuff right up front. You want to do it right towards the end. And then the last step is export. This is where we're saving out our video masterpiece. We'll then preview it and play it back, make sure everything is all good. Obviously, if we need to make any changes at that point, we dive back in, make those changes and re-export, but we want to preview our video and play it back before we post it and share it on the internet. But we want to make sure that we are playing back or previewing our video, making sure that it looks exactly how we'd like it. Ideally, you're doing this on different devices as well. So if you can play it back on a phone, play it back on a TV or on a computer screen, then you know that you're happy with how it looks on some different devices. And then at that point, when you're happy, then your video is ready to share. So that is the step-by-step video editing process. And again, what I'm going to take you through in the rest of this training. Now it's time to download and install Capcut on your device. I'm going to be showing you this on an iPhone, but the process is pretty much exactly the same on Android. You want to go to the App Store, you want to go to the Play Store and open that up. So then you just want to go ahead and search for Capcut. So I've got to go down the bottom right-hand corner here to search on here, and then we can type in Capcut. Select on that there. So we've got an ad that's shown to us at the top here, but we want to scroll down until we see the Capcut app. This is the logo that you're looking for. You can also verify that this is the right app because it says it was created by ByteDance, which is the company that also makes TikTok. So that's the one that we're after here. So we're going to press the little download button to download and install that. It'll then go ahead and do its thing, and then the app is then installed on your device. So we can see that's done now. It just says open. So we can either open it directly from here, or we can come across to our app drawer here. We can then go ahead and find Capcut. There it is up the top here. We can press on that to open the app. Now we're going to take a look at the Capcut interface. So if you've never opened the app before, then this is what you will first see when you open it. You'll need to hit the agree and continue button down the bottom. It's likely then going to pop up like it is here and ask you for different permissions, for notifications, access to camera and microphone. So you can go ahead and accept those. Once that's done, we're now inside the Capcut app. And you can see that this is broken down into different tabs down the bottom here, starting off with the Edit tab. This is the main area that we're going to play in terms of creating and managing our projects and all of that stuff. There are some templates and things that you can use in here as well. There's also a dedicated tutorial section in here now for extra support and tutorials that Capcut themselves have created for their users. There's also an inbox area and also access to your account. And for these, it's asking you here to log in. So while you can create a free Capcut account, you don't need to. You can still access a lot of the functionality without even needing to create a free account. But let's jump back to the edit page here and continue our tour of the interface. We do have a settings button up the top right-hand corner here. This is where we can customize up some of our app specific settings. We can go back out of this with the X in the corner. We've got now access to some Capcut tools. Now this is an area that is changing fast. Already, I swear the last few times that I've opened this up, there's new tools and things that are showing up in here. So that's that menu bar across the top there. And if we hit expand, we're able to see more of these new features and more of these tools being rolled out. So it's likely while you're watching this, there's probably some other tools in here now as well. So you've got things like the camera, their built-in teleprompter. There's a bunch of AI tools and photo retouching tools in here as well. Let's go ahead and dive into the editing interface so I can show you what that looks like. So we're just going to hit new project, and don't worry, we'll have a dedicated video on taking you through setting up your project. I'm just going to select a video file here just so that we can get to the editing interface. I'm going to choose add, and this is our main video editing area here inside of Capcut. We can see we've got our big preview window here. This is so we can preview and play back our video editing masterpiece. There's a button over here on the left, and you see if we tap on that, it's going to make our video full screen. So this is good if you want to preview what you're making a little bit bigger on your screen. We can hit that same button down the bottom right now to return that back to normal. We've got our playback controls in the middle. So we've got our play, pause right in the center of the screen. Over on the side, we've got our undo and redo buttons. So if you're playing around and you're testing out different effects and things, you can easily remove them and go backwards if you need to. But this main area down the bottom here, this is your editing timeline. This is where the magic's going to happen. This is where we can see we've got our video clip down here. We can just tap to swipe across. We can two-finger pinch to zoom in and out on this area. And then down below that in the bottom menu bar here, we've got access to all of our effects and tools and titles and everything. This is where we access all of that stuff. So being that we're using this on a smaller device, we can actually tap and swipe across here as well so that we can access everything. So if you're looking for something in particular and you can't find it, then just remember that you can tap and swipe along. Now this menu bar across the bottom here does change and update as you're doing different tasks in the app here as well. So for instance, if I tap on our video clip here in our timeline, then the tools and things that we've got access to down the bottom here, this is now changed to all the different effects and transitions and everything that we can apply to that specific clip. And you can see we've got a lot more options in there now. Up in the top right-hand corner where it says 1080p, up here, we can easily see and select and change our video export settings. So I'm currently set to 1080p, but we could easily up that to 2K, 4K, or even go lower to 720p if we needed to. So in here, we can control the resolution, the frame rate, your bit rate or code rate as they call it here. So that's the quality of the videos that you're saving out. And we can also turn on or off Smart HDR as well. We also now have the ability in here as well to save out GIFs or GIFs as well. So if we go back now, the button next to that, the up arrow, is our share or our export button. That's how we can save out our video. And at any time, if we want to go back to our main project area to switch between maybe different edits that we're working on, we can press the X in the top left-hand corner, and that's going to take us back to that main screen. Now we're going to get our video editing project set up inside of Capcut and adjust all of our settings so that they're good to go, so then we can get to editing. So I'm back here in Capcut. I am over on that edit page, and right now I'm not signed in to the Capcut account. Now you don't need to be signed in, you don't need to create a free account, but when we're looking up setting up our projects and things here, there actually are some benefits to having a free Capcut account in terms of backups. So we can actually back our projects up to the cloud. So if something happened to your device, you haven't lost the projects you've been working on, but also you have the ability to now transfer them between devices or between your desktop and your phone as well. But for that, you will need to have a free account created. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in now. So we can either come across to the little me icon down the bottom and we can create an account, or we can sign in that way. Or if we're back on the edit page, you can just press on the cloud button there as if we're wanting to upload our project to the cloud, and that's going to prompt us to sign in. So we can sign in with a TikTok account, Google, or any of the other options there. I'm going to go ahead and sign in now. Okay, that's done. We are signed in on a free account. This isn't a paid account. But now when we create our projects, we have the option to back them up to the cloud as well. And I'll show you that a little later in this video. So to create a project, we just want to hit the big button there that says New Project. It's then going to prompt us to choose a video file so that we can get our project set up. Now, what I recommend you do here is choose your primary camera footage, the thing that's going to make up the bulk of the video that you're creating. You want to select that clip first, because Capcut's then going to analyze that clip and it's going to update your project settings to match that clip. Now, we do have the ability here to go through and select multiple clips. So we can just tap on the little circle here and pick all the clips that we want to use in our video editing project. But I suggest that you don't do that yet. Let's just pick the main camera footage here to make sure that our project is set up correctly. We can come back and import extra footage a little bit later. So we've got our primary footage selected there. I'm going to choose add down the bottom corner. We can see that that clip is now here in our timeline, and we can then either make sure our project settings are correct, or we can change them up if we need to. So the first place you want to look for this is in that top corner there where it says 1080p. We want to make sure that that matches the video that we are creating. So the footage I just imported here is 1080p, so that matches already. It's also 30 frames per second. So that's all we need to validate at this point. But now if we come down the bottom here to where we've got all these options across the bottom, we can actually choose here the format of the video that we want to create. So the default here has matched what it is that we shot. So it's a widescreen video, 16:9. But let's say that the video we want to actually create in here is something different. We can come down here to ratio down the bottom, and we can choose the format of our video. So you can see we could choose 9:16, so a TikTok style, or an Instagram reel, or YouTube short. We've got a 1:1, so a square style video. You can see that there's a bunch of different formats and sizes for videos that you can create in here. It's much easier to get this set up right at the start of your project, but this is something that you can come back and change later. So in the case of this video here, it's a regular 16:9 video that we would upload to YouTube. So I'm going to make sure that that is specified here. But maybe a little later, once we've finished this video, I want to come back and create a TikTok version or a YouTube short of this video. We can come back and we can resize everything afterwards as well. I'm going to leave this here at 16:9. We're going to hit the tick to apply that. And then there's one last thing that we want to do to make sure that our project is set up correctly. Let's hit the X in the top left-hand corner to close out of this project. And we can see now under projects, we have our video project sitting there, but it's been given the project name 1122. We can rename that so that it's easier for us to find later, but also to manage if we're working on lots of different projects at the same time. So we can press the three little dots over to the side of that, and we can choose rename, and let's give our video a name. Thumbnail video. So that's the video we're going to be editing down in this training. Let's go OK. And that name has now been applied. Now, the other thing we can do at any time here is that we can press again those three little dots, and we have the option here to back up to the cloud as well. Now that you have a free account, there is some free included cloud storage. So if you want to back up your project to the cloud as you go through and as you've done more work on the project, then you can definitely come in here and back that up at any time. So from here, we can tap on that project there to open it back up. Then we can start editing. Now it's time to import your footage into your video editing project here. So this is where we're going to bring in all the different video files, different video assets that we want to use in our video. Now, back when we created our video editing project, Capcut actually makes us select one clip at least to immediately import into our project as part of creating that project. But we also have the ability to bring in extra files into our project at any time. And I want to stress here that you don't need to have every single file that you're going to use here in your timeline immediately. What I prefer to do is to bring things in as you need them so that you're building this thing out over time. Instead of just having everything in your timeline and trying to juggle everything, it's much easier to bring stuff in as you go. So right now we've got one clip added to our timeline here, which was the one that was added when we created our project. And because we only have one clip imported at this point, it's sitting on our primary video layer. And this is really where you'll be building out your edit with this primary video layer. And then on top of that is where you can add any B-roll, any graphics, any things that you want to show on top of your primary footage. So I'm going to show you how you can import different clips onto either your primary timeline or also to bring them in on top of the primary timeline so they're added as B-roll or overlay footage. But it is worth noting at this point that you need to have at least one clip always in your timeline. If we select our one clip here and then we go down to the delete button, it tells us we need to keep at least one clip in there. So just something to be aware of. Okay, so we've got our first clip in the timeline here. Let's tap and swipe all the way across to the end of our video and let's bring in another clip. But what we're seeing on the screen here at the end of our clip, I'll just pinch to zoom in here. So our first clip finishes, which is this one here. But there's also this blank area here, which is a title here from Capcut. Now this is on by default, that this card or this title is automatically added at the end of your video. But don't worry, you can delete it here right now so that it's gone for the rest of your editing. So we've got that selected now. I've just tapped on it. You can see down the bottom, we've got the delete button. If we press on that, that clip is gone. A lot of people forget that. We want to do that here before we get too far into the edit so that it doesn't get forgotten. But know that you can definitely remove that thing. Okay, so at the end of our video here now, let's bring in another clip. All we have to do is press the plus button here on the right-hand side, and that's going to take us back to that import window where we can go and find the clips or graphics that we want to import. So this page here is broken down to the categories videos. We've also got photos and we've got live photos if those are on your device. So let's go back to videos here. And at the top, you can actually change the categories or the sorting of these. So right now this is showing recent files that have been used on my device. If I press on that, we could change the category or the grouping to recently added. We could just show just videos, live photos, ones from the Insta360 app, so a different camera that I have, videos or photos that have been sent to me through WhatsApp even. So there's different ways that we can categorize or go through and find our content at this point too. I'm going to tap back on recent to go back. The next one across though, where it says Justin at the top, if we press on that, this is if we are using Capcut's cloud, then we can import files from here. So if there's files that you want to use on the desktop version and on your mobile version or on an iPad or something as well, we can synchronize them here using Capcut's cloud, and we can import them into our projects from here too. There's also an option at the top here for stock videos. So yes, Capcut does give you access to stock graphics and B-roll and things that you can use. I'd be very mindful about using these in my videos in terms of potential copyright issues that you might have. Even though they're in here, using these and using the stock music that's included as well, you could be opening yourself up to potential copyright claims or strikes from using these if you don't have the correct permission. So for me personally, I'd much rather use other services like Storyblocks or Motion Array to find these sorts of graphics and files, because I know then that I'm totally compliant with the licensing. So let's come across to recent. Let's select another video file here. So we're going to choose this clip up here in the top left-hand corner. Now there's two ways that we can select this. I can tap on it in the little circle there, and then we get the little number 1 appear. This is if we want to select multiple clips. So I could then select another clip and another clip, and you can see those line up down the bottom. So these are going to import in that order into our timeline. I can deselect them by pressing the little minus on them down the bottom, or I can just tap on that little circle again and they're going to be deselected. So if you want to import multiple clips, then that's how you do it. But let's deselect this first one here. And instead of tapping in the circle, let's tap on the actual video clip itself. And that's going to open it up to preview it. So if we want to check that this is actually the clip that we want to import, we can do that here. We also have the ability though to trim this down. So we can make some minor edits to this so that we're not importing the whole file. If there's only a small section of this clip that we want to use, then we can just bring in that small section. So down the bottom left-hand corner, there's a button that says trim. If we press on that, then we can adjust the start time and the end time of this video just by adjusting these yellow handles or this start and finish time markers. So let's say that we only wanted this small section of the clip here, then we could just hit the tick down the bottom right, and that small section is going to be imported into our project. So then we just hit add, and that file now, that small section of that file has been added to the end of our project. And you can see that this has added this clip right next to our primary video footage. So this is on the main editing timeline, the main editing layer as well. It's not been added to show above that clip at this point. So you want to go through and select all of your primary video footage. It could be that you've got multiple clips built out. It could be that you recorded your main video footage in smaller chunks or separate files. You want to import all of those now. And once they're in there, you can actually long press on the clips and you can pick them up and move them around. So let's say that we wanted this other clip here at the start. We can just pick it up, we can adjust it, and if we scroll back to the start now, we can see that that small clip is now at the start of our video. We want to move it back, we can long press on it, and let's move it to the end, and it's back there at the end. And so it's really easy to add and reposition your clips, or essentially your chunks of footage here, this way. Because we've already got our primary footage in here, this extra clip here, we wouldn't normally add to the end like this. If we wanted to show this while I'm talking, then we instead want to add it as overlay footage. We want to position it over the top of our primary footage. So we can either convert or promote our clips here to become overlay footage, or we can import our footage directly as overlay footage. So let's say this clip here, this second clip here in our timeline, we want to promote that so that it's not just sitting next to our clips and playing after it, but it's actually playing at the same time or on top of it. We can select it, we can come down the bottom here, and we want to go through and we want to find where it says overlay, and you can see that it's moved our clip now onto a separate video layer. It's no longer on our primary track, it's now on its own layer. And that clip we can tap and hold, and we can reposition it wherever we want it in our timeline here. And then when we scrub through this now, you can see that I'm talking, but at that point, this other clip is going to play while the original is still playing underneath it. Even though it's layered that this overlay clip is actually underneath it, it's actually on top of it in a video editing sense. So that's how we can promote our clips to become B-roll and overlay footage. Or if I deselect this now, let's hit the back arrow down the bottom. Instead of hitting that plus button over to the side to import our footage, we could just hit the overlay button down the bottom and then come down to add overlay. We could then go through, find the clips that we want to use as our overlay footage, or the stuff that we want to show on top of our primary footage. So let's pick this clip here. Let's choose add. And you can now see we've got 3 clips there. We've got our primary footage here. We've got our first clip that we promoted to become B-roll or as an overlay. And we've got this 3rd clip here, which we just imported as overlay footage as well. Now with each of these clips, we can tap on them, we can hold them, we can pick them up, we can move them around, and we can trim them down and edit them as regular footage too. One last thing to note here when you're working with overlay footage is that when we're in overlay mode, like we are now, where it says overlay down the bottom, then this is where we can see these clips layered up like this. If we hit the back arrow, then you can see that the view changes, and we're still always seeing our primary footage here, but the overlay clips are actually now compressed. And we get instead these little indicators or icons here showing us that there is some B-roll, that there is some overlay clips added at that point, but we don't necessarily know at a quick glance like this how complex or how many layers we've actually got stacked up at that point. But we can easily jump back into overlay mode at any time by pressing overlay down the bottom, and that's going to bring us back to that view. So it's all about saving this screen space, this screen real estate, so that we can see at a quick glance that yes, there are some clips and things added there, but we don't need to see them all the time, because it can get pretty overwhelming the more complex your video edits become. So that's how easy it is to add and to import your video assets here into your editing project. I'm going to go ahead now, I'm going to hit overlay, I'm going to select those 2 clips that we added, and I'm going to remove them, because the workflow that I suggest that you're working through first is let's get that primary footage cut down first to where we want it. Let's build out that story, and then we can go ahead and add B-roll and graphics and animations and things afterwards. Now it's time for us to cut down our videos. Now there's a few different ways that you can do this, as with most video editing software and apps. So I'm going to take you through the different methods that are available to you, so that then you know which you can use in which circumstances for fastest editing all round. Because there are times where it will make more sense to use one of these methods over another. Now, if I just pinch to zoom out down the bottom area here, we can zoom out on our clip so that we're able to scrub through it here really quickly. And again, at this point, we've just got our primary footage here in our timeline. But the first way that we can start to trim this down is we just want to tap on the clip itself. And that's going to bring up these white bars on the start and the finish of our clip. If we go across the end, you can see there's this thicker white bar on there too. And these are essentially handles that we can swipe across to adjust the start or the end time of an individual clip. So let's say that we wanted this clip to start a little bit later. We can drag it through here to where we want the clip to start, which is likely just before I start talking here, right about here. So when I let go, or I lift my finger up at that point, the clip is now going to start from then. So if we hit play now, I have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, right, that's now the start of our video. Likewise, if we want to trim the end of our clip, so you can see if I just tap to swipe across here, that I stop talking about here. And then there's all this extra footage at the end that we can get rid of. So I can just press and hold on that white line there, the thick white line at the end, and we can drag back to the left to the point where we want the video to stop. So around here. And that now is the end point of that clip. Now to navigate through our footage, we could hit play and play through to find the areas that we want to remove, or we can tap and swipe across, and you can see that white line in the middle. That's our playback indicator that shows you exactly that frame that you're previewing there in the top. So let's come across to the piece here where I stop talking. So about here, and let's say that we want to add a cut in our timeline at that point. So we're happy with everything from the start right through till then. We can tap on that. Then down the bottom, we've got split, and it's cut our clip in 2. So essentially now we've got a clip on the left and a clip on the right. And for each one of these, we've now got those handles. So let's say that there is a gap here, which there is before I start talking again, somewhere around here. We could grab that left handle of the second clip and drag it up to that point there. And we've now removed that section where I wasn't talking. Now for more granular control or for a higher level of accuracy, we can zoom in. So let's pinch to zoom on this. And now when we tap on a clip and we're making these minor adjustments, you can see that it is at a much finer level of detail. So the idea here is that we're working through our video, whether start to finish or end back to the start, and we're removing all of the bad takes, all of the mistakes, all of the things that we don't want to have in our finished video. We're doing a first pass to remove all of that stuff up front. Okay, so here's another section here where I've just finished talking at this section. So just after this, there's a little bit of a pause because the way that I film videos, I'm doing it in chunks. So we want to remove this gap here. So let's again find the place where I just finished talking about here. Let's select on our clip. Let's add a split in it so that we're cutting it in half at that point. And we could just grab that left handle and swipe across as we've done before, but we could also just come across to where I start talking again. So around here, and we could add another split at this point. So that means that this clip here in the middle is something that we don't need, something that we don't want. So we can just select it and we can come down the bottom to delete, and that clip is now removed from our project. So it really is about here using these tools that you've got access to swipe through or play through your footage, find the areas that you want to remove, cut or split your clip, delete to remove that content, or you can use those handles to adjust the start and end times of those clips too. So let's just play this section here. You could have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get your content clicked on, and that's when your thumbnail strategy is so important. So to help you with this, so even though I started talking then at that point, there's a double up, or I'm starting again. So we want to trim this down to about here. So we can play through this next section now. Is so important. So to help you with this, you need to make sure that your thumbnail images are attention grabbing, that they stand out on YouTube. Another pause, so we want to finish this at that point. They stand out on YouTube. So we can cut this here, tap on it, press split. Help you with this, you need to make, so to help you with this. Now if we keep coming across, it looks like I've started to say this again. So to help you with this, you need to make, so to help you with this. So, all right, so I started this actually 2 more times. So we want to work out exactly where that is here. Probably around here, let's split that. This clip on the left is no longer needed because it was all bad takes and mistakes. So we're gonna press delete and let's play this now. Important. To help you with this, you need to. Okay, so I've actually trimmed too much off this one. If we play this again now, it's a bit too quick. To help you with this. So let's select on that and we can actually bring back some of that footage too. So if we drag to the left, that's going to bring it back in. So when we delete something, it's not totally gone. This is non-destructive editing as they call it. So we can trim stuff down, but we can also bring it back if needed. So let's play this section now. Important. So to help you with this, you need to make sure that your thumbnail images are. Okay, so that's working. So we want to go through now, we want to cut down this clip to remove all the bad takes, all the double ups, all the mistakes, so that we're just left with the core content. So once that's done, and you can see we have a lot of little clips in the timeline here now, the clips themselves are actually movable. So if we need to pick something up and move it around, we can just tap and long press on it, and we can adjust the positioning of these clips really, really easily. In this video, I'm going to show you how to add in B-roll or overlay footage, graphics, images into your videos. So really quickly, your A-roll in a video project like this is your primary footage. So in our case, that's the stuff that we've edited down first here with me on camera. Your B-roll then is any footage that will sit on top of that. So it's supplementary footage. So what we're doing here is we're going to be overlaying that on top of our A-roll footage so that we're still able to hear what's happening in that A-roll, but we're now showing B-roll on top of it, which will be on screen instead of it. If I've lost you here already, it's gonna make sense as we go through. So what we're gonna do now is make sure we've got no clips selected here on the timeline, and we're gonna come down the bottom to where it says overlay. We can then choose add overlay, and that's going to bring up our import box again, where we can navigate through and find our media. So we're gonna go ahead and select this clip here, and I'm gonna choose add. Depending on the file that you select, sometimes it goes through and processes the clip, which is what it's doing right now for me. But once that's done, that clip is gonna show up in your timeline. So we can see we've got that clip imported now. So if we swipe across our footage here, just scrub through it, you can see I'm talking, and at this point, the B-roll or the overlay clip is now shown on screen, but the original footage is still playing underneath it. So I've gone ahead and I've brought in one big clip that actually contains all the small snippets that we'll actually want to use for this video that we're editing, but you could definitely import multiple smaller clips into your project as well. The very first thing that you'll want to do here next though is you'll want to scale up that clip, because if you notice at the top, this B-roll clip isn't filling the frame completely. So we can just make sure that that clip is selected by tapping on it down the bottom, and then we can just pinch to zoom on that clip up the top to scale that up. And it's going to snap into place once it fills that full screen. Now that it's the right size and it fills the full screen, this is when we can start to trim this down. So these overlay clips, they're treated exactly the same as a regular clip. We can pick it up, we can move it around. When we tap on it, we get those handles on either side so that we can adjust the start and end point. We can add splits in the clip to cut it up, to make it shorter. And that same process that we've used for cutting down our clips is what we're going to follow here to find the sections of this B-roll that we want to use and to position it where we want it. So I'm just going to hit play on the video here to work out what's been said, so then we can go and find the appropriate shot as B-roll to bring up over the top. You could have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get your content clicked on, and that's when your thumbnail strategy is so important. All right, so we need a shot here from this B-roll, maybe of one of our thumbnail images, that we could then add some animation or something to it, like someone's clicking on it. So let's just scrub through here. Let's see what's actually in this clip that we could use. Okay, so maybe this section here, that's just static. So we can add a cut in the timeline here. Let's select that clip. Let's choose split. Let's come across to where we want this to end, maybe just before it zooms out. So probably about here. And let's add another split. Now this smaller chunk here that we've just trimmed out, let's pick this up. So let's press and hold on it and let's drag it across to the left. So it's at the start of our clip. Now I'm just going to pick up our main B-roll clip here, press and hold on it. I'm just going to drag it over to the right, just so it's out of the way a little bit. Okay, so let's line this up now to where we want this clip to be shown. You could have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get your content clicked on. Okay, so we probably don't want to bring it up until about here. So let's shorten that down. Let's tap on it, let's drag that left edge across, and let's see what this looks like here. If no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get your content clicked on, and that's when your thumbnail strategy is so important. Okay, let's zoom in on this, and let's trim the end of this off so that it finishes right when that clip finishes. So I'm just going to grab that end handle and slide it back to the left. All right, that's not bad so far. And again, we're going to add some sort of animation to this a little bit later so that it's more engaging for the viewers. But let's go ahead and find the next clip that we want to add. So let's play this next section here. To help you with this, you need to make sure that your thumbnail images are grabbing people's attention, that they stand out. Okay, so for grabbing people's attention and standing out, I kind of want to use a shot here. If we're scrubbing through here looking for B-roll, yeah, where we're just scrolling down on YouTube. Maybe we could start it about here. Let's select our B-roll. Let's add a split. Now let's keep scrolling across here. Okay, that's probably enough. Let's add another split here. And we're again going to grab this chunk here that we've just cut out. Let's move it across down to this section around here. So let's play this little section now. You need to make sure that your thumbnail images are grabbing people's attention, that they stand out on whatever platform you're posting them on. Your thumbnail image. All right, so that's not looking too bad so far. Again, we want to be mindful of our B-roll that we've brought in here just to get clips from. We want to make sure that we're moving it along or removing the bits of it that we don't actually want to use as we go. Now, this is the workflow that I usually use in this scenario where I've got this temporary clip here that we're editing from. But if, say, that's a really long clip, or you find that it's getting too clunky or too cumbersome to move around everything on the timeline with that temporary clip in there, you could just go ahead and delete it like we have here so that it's removed. And then when you want to bring in more clips or find the next piece, we can then choose overlay down the bottom and import the clip again. So we choose add overlay, we go and find the clip, we tap on it as if we're going to add it, but before we hit add, we can actually hit trim. So if we know the type of thing we're looking for here in this piece of footage, we could actually go through and find it and essentially just mark out the piece that we want here using those handles. So we set the start time, we set the end time, and then when we hit the tick to import it, we're only bringing in that piece of the footage. So either one of those workflows is going to work fine for you. So you want to go through now and add in any B-roll or overlay footage into your project. And to round this section out, it's also worth noting that once you get out of this overlay mode where you're adding in overlay clips, the view does change a little bit. So if we hit the little back arrow here now to go back to our main editing timeline, our main interface here with nothing selected, so out of overlay mode, then you'll notice here that we don't see our overlay clips here in the timeline anymore. But what we can see is this little bubble and red line indicating that there is actually overlay footage shown there at that point, and we can see it there on the timeline as we scrub through or play through. We can see that the clips are being shown in that preview window, but we're essentially seeing a compressed or a flattened version of that timeline so that it's not so overwhelming. If you've got layers upon layers of B-roll and overlay footage and things, this is still giving you a clean view to see all of that and to navigate around while you're editing. So if at any time you want to make changes to your B-roll footage and move clips around, we can either just tap up on that little circle icon there. So we're tapping on the clip itself, and that brings us straight back to this overlay view. Or we can just go ahead down the bottom again to overlay, as if we're going to add in some more overlay footage, and that's going to open up that overlay mode for us. And you can see we've got our clips here already. Now we're going to take a look at some simple adjustments that you can make to your clips in your timeline in terms of scaling, zooming, and rotating your clips. Now these are things that you can easily apply to regular footage in your timeline and also B-roll and overlay clips as well. So we're going to hit play on our video now so we can see where it's at, and then you can see how we can easily transform it by applying some of these simple things. You could have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get your content clicked on, and that's when your thumbnail strategy is so important. Okay. So it's a pretty static shot here. We're also talking about a thumbnail image, but it's also pretty small on the screen there. So we can easily scale this up. We can zoom in on this clip and it's gonna make it more engaging. We can then go through later and add in extra stickers and graphics and animations and things on top of that to make it more engaging. But let's start out by helping the viewer focus on the thing that we're talking about here, because there's a lot going on in that shot, but what we're talking about is the thumbnail image. So I'm going to tap on our overlay clip here so that we can bring that up. And then there's a couple of different ways that we can approach this in terms of zooming, scaling, and rotating. We can just pinch to zoom on the clip there in the preview window, and that will allow us to zoom that clip in. If we want to adjust the position of that clip, then we can tap on it with one finger and we can move that clip around to where we'd like. So let's put it more towards the center focus here. So again, it's clear to our viewers that that is the piece that we want them to look at or focus on. So generally I find that that's the quickest way to do it, especially if you're working on your phone here. And in terms of rotation, we can just two-finger tap and rotate up in that top area, and we're able to rotate our clip too. So we could position it in a way that it looks like this so that it fits there on screen, and we've added something a little bit more dynamic, I guess, to this shot. I'm gonna undo that last rotation. So we're gonna press the undo button here. Let's go undo again till we get it back to before that rotation happened. Because the other way that we can do this is with that clip selected down the bottom here, we can scroll across until we see basic. So with basic here, we can then have direct access to a slider here for things like your position. So we can adjust the X and Y position here. And this is in really fine detail. So if you're finding that just tapping on the screen's not giving you enough control, then you'll get so much more control here with these sliders. Likewise with the Y axis, we can move this up and down. If we jump across to scale, that's our zoom in and out. So we've got that control here too. And the last one across the top here is rotation. That's where we can access that as well. When we're done, we just want to hit the tick down the bottom to apply that. And those settings have now been applied to that clip. So let's jump across to the next B-roll or overlay clip here. To make sure that your thumbnail images are grabbing people's attention, that they stand out on whatever platform you're posting them on. So again, with this one, we could probably zoom in on it a little bit more to remove that static area down the left, the menu bar on YouTube. Let's try to make this more engaging. Let's add some more movement to this without the static area. So maybe we can zoom in on it to crop it out. So I'm going to select on that clip, and I'm just going to pinch to zoom in up the top area here. And let's move it across a bit. Okay, maybe we'll zoom back out a little bit. I might have come in too far. Maybe something like this. Let's center it up. Maybe we'll even pull it down a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe around here. So let's see what that looks like now. To make sure that your thumbnail images are grabbing people's attention, that they stand out on whatever platform you're posting them on. Your thumbnail image. All right, so pretty simple. Now, depending on how you've captured your footage, depending on the quality that it was recorded at, there is the potential for you to be losing some quality if you zoom in too far. With the examples that I've shown you here, yes, we would be losing a little bit of quality with that screen recording, but it's not going to make much of a difference to the viewer watching. So the benefit of zooming in and having a much more focused, engaging piece of content shown is worth the trade-off in a slight loss in quality in this case. So that's how easy it is to scale, to zoom, and to rotate your clips. In this video, we are going to add text and stickers into our edit here. So we're going to hit play and let's just see what's happening at the start of this video. And then we're going to add in some text or titles first off to match what's been said. And then we'll add in some stickers after that. So let's play this now. You could have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. So you need to get your content. Okay, so we could bring up some text here, world's best video, and bring up those 3 words as I say them. So we want to make sure we've got no clips selected here in the timeline. We want to come down the bottom here to where it says text. And then in here, we've got a few different options and a few different ways that we can make text. We can create something totally custom, as in we've got full control over things like the font, the size, the color, the style of it. And that's the basic text here. But you can see over a little further, we've also got text templates in here as well. And I'll show you both of these so that you can work out which is the best one for you. So the first one here, we'll choose add text. We can then type in what we would like. So let's go worlds, and we can see that that's updated there already. And if we scroll down, there's lots of different fonts and things that we can choose from. There are some free and some paid. You can see the pro ones there. You will need to have a pro or a paid account for Capcut to use those specific ones, but there's lots of free ones in here as well. So let's keep scrolling down. Let's take a look for something bold. Maybe something like that one. And you can also see at the top here, we've got an area here for brand fonts. So these are things that if we want to save presets, so fonts that we use a lot, we can add a font as a brand font. But you also have the ability in here to add your own font as well. I'm just going to come back to English. We're going to leave it as this font here. And then we've got this other menu across here where we can customize this up further. So if we press over on style, you can see that there are some preset styles in here or different looks that you can just tap on and select, and you can customize them up further. Or we can use all of these different settings and things down the bottom here to dial something in from scratch. Let's just go something basic here. Maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger. So I'm just grabbing that size slider down the bottom here. Now we can also make the text bigger or smaller up the top. We can pinch to zoom on the text, so 2 fingers on screen. We can also 1 finger tap and press to move around. And there's also a rotate area here as well if we want to rotate the text. So all the styling and everything's in there. If we come across to effects, then again, there are some presets here that we can use. And just by tapping on them, we can preview what they're going to look like. And if you scroll down, there is a lot in here to choose from. Some of them free, some of them paid. I'm gonna come back up the top here and let's press none when it comes to effects. We're gonna go something basic here. If we wanna animate our text, we can come across here to animation. And just by tapping on these, you can see how these animations are going to look. And just the same for this one, I'm going to leave it basic. We're going to hit none. But once I'm done customizing this up, I just want to hit the little tick button up there. And you can see that we've now got that text that is added here to our video project, but it's added as its own video layer. And just the same as with other video layers here in Capcut, we can press and hold on it to pick it up, to move it around. We've got those handles here on either side, so we can adjust the start and the end time of how long we want the clip on screen. We can even split the clip in 2 if we need to. But let's put this where we want it. But let's try and put this close to where we want it. Let's play this section again. It's best video, but if not. Okay, so we want it earlier. We want it to appear when I say worlds. So maybe we'll zoom in a bit on this as well. Let's play this again. World's best. Okay, a little bit further forward. The world's best video. Okay, so that's pretty close for the first one. Now, instead of creating the next one again from scratch, we can actually duplicate our layer here, our text. So if I press on it, then we come down the bottom here, let's swipe across and let's go to copy. And you can see we've now got 2 versions of that on here. So I can just double tap on that new clip there, and that's going to open up the text editor here. So we can write best. Let's hit the tick to apply that. We can then pick this up and maybe move it down a little bit. So we've got world's best. Let's pick this clip up and move it down a little bit and move it across a little bit and try and get this timing right. Let's play this. World's best video. Okay, so it's a little bit close. Trying to get the words to appear as I say them. World's best video. Maybe still a little bit quick. Let's move it down a little bit further. World's best video, but if... Okay, pretty good. So we're gonna do the same thing again. We're going to tap on our bottom clip. We are going to come across to copy. So we've got a 3rd version of it. Again, we're going to double tap down the bottom there on the clip. Let's change the text to video, and then we'll move it down and let's move it across to try and line it up. Yes, around here, let's try this. World's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one's going to see it. Okay, very simple, looks pretty good. Now these text layers actually behave very, very similar to an overlay clip. Whereas if we back out of our text edit mode here, so let's press the back arrow down the bottom left. So we're back in regular timeline mode now. We can see we've still got the text there on screen, but it's actually compressed. We just see an orange line across the top. So that shows us that there is some text there, but if we want to get back in to manage the text or to modify it, we can just press the text button down the bottom and all of our text layers are then visible. So that's how to add simple text. Inside of CapCut, you can also add more advanced animated text as well. So again, you want to make sure that you are on that text mode. So press text down the bottom. Then we can come across to text template. And just scrolling through here, you can start to see the types of things that you get to use. And again, this is fully customizable in here. We can adjust the text, we can adjust the colors on some of these as well. And you can see that a lot of these are fully animated. There's also, again, a lot of free ones that you can use in here, but there are quite a few pro or paid ones too. They're also broken down into those categories. So you can see we're just on the trending ones here now, but you can scroll across for the different types of titles you could add. So let's just say that we wanted to add in this one here. Let's press on it. No one's going to see it. So you need to get your content. You can see that that's now appeared up the top. We can resize the whole thing using those controls at the top. If we want to change the text, we can just double tap on it. No one's going to see it. So you need to get your content. And we can just type in our new text. So now we've got, it still says 0.1, but we've got Justin Brown in there. Let's say we want to edit the 0.1, we can just double tap where it says 0.1 and we can change that as well. Now in this case with this title, there's also this little unlink button up there in the top preview as well. If we press on that, then we can actually move these different text elements around. So let's say that we want to move this text here, Justin Brown, over to the left. Let's pick that up, let's move it over to around here. And now when we play through these, we've now got primal video, then Justin Brown showing up like that. And you can see it's actually split them off into two separate layers down the bottom here as well. So maybe we might not even want the top one. We can select it, press the delete button, and we're just left with the bottom piece here. So I love how customizable this is. So let's go ahead and add a sticker to help our viewer understand what we're talking about, but also to make the video more engaging. Again, we want to come down here to text, and then we're going to choose stickers. Now there's everything in here from emojis, different types of GIFs and animations as well. And again, there's a good mix of free and paid. So just scrolling down here, I kind of like this arrow here, the finger touching piece. We're talking about tapping or clicking on a thumbnail image, so this can work well. So if we just tap on that, select on that, you'll see that it appears straight away up the top. We can resize it, we can pick it up, we can move it around. Let's make it obvious that we're talking about tapping on one of our thumbnail images here. So maybe something like this. Let's hit the tick to apply that. And again, we'll see this as its own video layer here in our timeline. Now we can see here that this only plays through once. So it moves and then it taps or clicks, and then that's it. So what we could do here is we could actually shorten this clip down. Let's grab the end of it. Let's make it much shorter here. So we're just left with the animation piece, probably something like this. And then what we can do is let's have it repeat. Let's duplicate this. So we're going to press on that clip so it's selected. Down the bottom here, we'll go to copy, and then we've now got a second version of it. So let's move this across so that when one of them finishes, the next one plays as well. And we could do this a few times if we wanted this to repeat. So maybe in this case, we'll do it one more time. Let's press copy. Pick it up and move it across. You can also see here that these are stacking. There's different layers here. The layering doesn't really matter. They don't need to be on top of each other here. But for all purposes here, let's put them all on the one layer just so it's neater. So now if we look at this, we've got that effect happening 3 times. Video transitions or transition effects can be a great way to take your viewer from one clip to another, to transition them from one clip to another. This is something that's built into most video editing software and apps. And while it is very easy to apply these things, I want to stress that you want to use these sparingly. You don't want to go overboard and add in a bunch of transitions and things because you can make your videos look very cheap. But if we have a look on our video editing timeline here now, and we've got these main clips here in our primary timeline, so this is only going to apply to regular footage here in your timeline, you can see that we've got this little white icon between the 2 clips. All we need to do is to press on that, and then this is going to allow us to add a transition between those 2. So this can happen at the join or the intersection of any main clips on your timeline. So if we scroll through these now, you can see, again, they're broken down into trending, overlay, movement, blur, basic. There's lots of different categories across the top here. And then inside of each category, we've got a lot of different options. Some of them free, some of them only available on the Pro plan. But if we want to preview to see what this looks like, we just need to tap on one and it's going to play a little preview for us. So you can see it plays a little bit of that overlap between the two clips with this effect now applied. Maybe we'll look at some of these Pro ones as well to take a look. Scrolling back across, we've got some with a lot more movement. So hopefully you can see you could easily go overboard with this stuff and just add too many of these things in there. But once you've picked the transition that you want to add, we can also adjust here the length of time that it's going to play back over. So the short amount of time we can have this is 0.1 seconds, so very, very quick, right up to 1.2 seconds. So I'm just gonna play that slower. Now I'd say most of the time when I am adding a transition like this into my project, I'm normally staying away from the ones that are overly animated or over the top. And generally the ones that I'm using are just found here under this overlay category. And that's things like maybe a black fade or a fade to black. Or if we keep coming over, we've got things like a white flash or even just a dissolve, a crossfade between the two clips. Those are the main ones that I'm looking for. And I'd normally make the transition time fairly short. So probably around half a second to maybe just under a second, depending on the pacing of the video. So once you've got that picked, you have the choice here either to apply to all, which is every cut in your timeline to have that automatically applied for you, or just hitting the tick down the bottom right-hand corner, it's going to apply it just to that cut. So we can see now in our timeline, we actually have that effect here applied. Now, even though we can add a transition like we have here between these two clips, when the camera angle is the same, the shot is the same, it's not really something that I would do. So if I want to remove this, let's just press on that join there again. Let's come across here to none up the top left-hand corner, and then hit the tick to apply that. So we've now removed that transition. What I would do instead, if it's footage like this, where it's almost exactly the same between each cut, to make the shots look a little bit different and to make it less jarring for your viewers, I would simply just zoom in on one of the shots, either the before or the after. So I'm just going to pick the second one here in this case, and then I'm going to come up the top here and I'm going to pinch to zoom in a little bit on this to make it a little bit bigger. Now, in order to really sell this effect and make it less jarring for your viewers and make it feel like almost like a zoomed in shot or a second camera angle, you want to try to make sure that the eye position is very similar or very close to matching between the two shots. So let's see what this looks like now. So we've got our wide shot here, we get to this point and it jumps in. Okay, so the eye position, it's close, it's not perfect. Let's move it across a little bit more now. Maybe something like this. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, much closer. So there's our before, after. It's a lot less jarring and a lot more subtle for the viewers than having some of those transitions. So you can either go through now and add in a bunch of these transitions where you need them in your videos, or you could even zoom in on some of your shots to essentially do the same thing. Now there's a few different ways that we can add effects and animations inside of Capcut. So that's what we're looking at in this video. So making sure we've got nothing selected on our timeline here, we want to come down the bottom to effects. And then in here, we can open up video effects. Once again, we've got our categories across the top for the different types of effects and things in here. You can see we've got categories for Christmas, for TV, for glitch effects, and there's a mix of free and pro. To preview what these effects look like, we just want to tap on them and it's going to play back a little preview for us. So maybe we'll choose this one here, Chromo Zoom. Okay, so kind of a glitching effect at the start. Maybe we'll try this one here, Jump. Maybe we'll try this other Distort one. Maybe we'll take a look at some of the others. Let's go Nature, and let's take a look at Fog. Okay, or Smog. Okay, even Rain. I mean, that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's say that we wanted to add this rain effect here into our video. Now that we've selected it, we can actually make further adjustments to it. You can see now that the icon for it has changed to adjust. So let's press on adjust. Now, obviously what you'd actually get to control is going to come down to each individual effect, but you can see we have some sort of atmosphere, but maybe let's lower this and see what happens. Okay, so maybe it's less rain, it looks like. It's not the speed of the rain, we can adjust that, but also maybe the amount of rain. Now to apply this, we just want to hit the tick up the top right-hand corner there, and you can see that this effect is now on its own video layer. And as we play through this section here, and that rain is being applied to the clips that are underneath it normally, or on top of in this case. But the only clips that are affected are the ones that are on screen while that effect is visible. So we can adjust the time of that. We can grab the end here, we can drag it out if we want to extend how long that effect is playing for. Maybe we'll zoom out. We can also pick that effect up and move it around if we want it somewhere else in our timeline. If we wanted to duplicate it, we could tap on it, we could press copy. We've now got two versions of it. So we could have one throughout that section. We could move one down later in our video as well. I absolutely love that you have this ability to add effects to their own layer, essentially their own little clip here. This gives you so much creative control over what you can do with these clips. So that's the first way that you can add effects or movement into your clips. I'm going to go ahead and delete these now. Select on it, press delete, select on the next one, press delete. If we go back to our main timeline here, so we've got no clips selected, let's zoom in on our timeline. Let's select this clip here. And let's say that we want to add an effect or some animation to this specific clip. With that clip selected, down the bottom here now, we've got the ability to press animation. And in here, we can have some, I guess these are more simplified animations. These are more like transitions, but these we can apply to 3 different areas of the clip. You can see here, we've got an option for in, out, and for combo. So in will apply some sort of animation, whichever animation we pick here, to the first part of our video. Out is going to be the end of the video, and combo is something that can play throughout the middle part of the video. So a clip on your timeline can have an in, an out, and a combo effect applied. So scrolling across here, we can start to see the types of things that we can get access to. Lots of pro ones up here at the start. Let's go across until we get some free ones here as well. So we've got everything here from a basic fade in, which is that first one there. We can adjust the length of time. So that's currently ½ a second. Maybe we'll make that a bit longer. So you can see how that works. Maybe we'll try another one here. That was very quick. Slow that down. So we can add a little bit of movement at the start of this clip. Let's see what else we got. Shake 3. Okay, it's very quick. Slow it down. See, I don't mind that. It does add a little bit more movement, a little bit of interest to the clip. Maybe we try this one here. Swing bottom. Slow it down. Yeah, probably not as good. Maybe we'll slow it right down. Not bad, there's some movement there. So that's the in animation, and you can actually see there that blue area that is drawn out across our timeline. So we could again shorten that if we needed to, but I don't mind that one long. Now we don't need to apply all 3 effects. If we just wanted it in animation, we can hit the tick, and that's now applied to the start of this clip. And you can see that motion here. As we cut from this first clip here to this one, there's that movement there that's happening, and then the clip would play as it normally would after that. But let's just select this clip here. Let's go to animation. So again, all of these are the in animations, and there's lots in here to choose from. But if we come over here to out animations, then we've got quite a few in here as well. There doesn't seem to be anywhere near as many, but a lot of the similar style things, like a slide up, a flip. And if we come over here to combo, then we've got these other effects here just to add some movement to your shots that's separate from the in and the out animation. So maybe we press this one here, zoom. So it added that slow zoom out, that pull out there for that clip. And we can adjust the length of the animation down here as well. So I don't mind that. It actually added a slow zoom out or movement to that clip just to make it a little bit more engaging. So once we're happy with that, we hit the tick to apply that, and that's now applied to our clip. Now there's likely going to be times when you're video editing that you'd like to speed up or slow down your video files. That's what we're going to show you how to do in this video. So I've just added this extra snowboarding clip here to the end of our video, just so I can show you how this speed control works. Now this is just a stock footage clip from within the Capcut app. So let's just play through this clip so you can see what happens and at what speed. So we press play, it looks like it's real-time speed. and the person just comes past the camera, does a couple of turns. Okay, so in order to adjust the speed for this, we want to select the clip, and then down the bottom here, we've got a speed adjustment here. So we press speed, then we've got two options. We've got normal speed adjustments, or we can have the more advanced speed adjustments, which is the curve adjustment. So I'm going to press on normal, and then we just got this slider here. And this will let us adjust our speed, everything from 0.1 times speed right through to 100 times speed, with real-time speed or normal speed being 1 times or 1x. So if we want to speed up the clip, we want to increase it anything above 1. If we want to slow it down, we want to go below 1. So let's say that we want to speed up the clip. Maybe we will make it 5 times. We'll drag this up to 5 times, and you can see that adjustment is already made in our timeline. The clip is now much shorter because it's going to play for less time. Now we can actually tap and swipe back through here to be able to play this as well. So we can preview it to dial this in before we actually apply it. So let's hit play now. Okay, so much quicker. Maybe we'll slow it down to 2 times. Hit play. Okay, you get the idea. Now, when it comes to slowing it down though, as I said, you got to go below 1, then we do get some extra adjustments in here as well. So let's slow this right down as far as we can, 0.1. Now, you normally wouldn't go this far unless your footage was already recorded in slow motion, but let's scrub through this and let's see what this looks like. Maybe around here where the person comes past camera. Hit play. You can see it's very stilted. Right, so it's barely usable. There is an option now in Capcut where it says here, make it smoother. So if we press on this, we've got 2 options. There's faster processing and there's better quality. I'm going to choose here faster process, and we'll see if we play through this now. It shouldn't be perfect because it hasn't really gone through and rendered it out yet, but it should have improved. So let's hit play. Okay, so it's kind of added in these extra frames so it's not so stilted and jumpy. It's a little bit smoother. And now if we remove this and try the other option, better quality, I think we're still going to get a preview here if I hit play. It's a little bit better again. And this is worst case scenario. I would recommend that you don't slow down your clips this far. But you can already see just with this preview here, without even doing that full render or processing that effect to the best of its ability, it's actually improved it quite a lot. But let's say that we speed this up a little bit so it's not putting too much pressure on this. 0.4 speed. Still at better quality. Let's see what this looks like now. So much smoother, and it's still slow motion. Let's turn off that make it smoother option. Yeah, it's still very stilted, still very jittery. So it's awesome that they've got that make it smoother option in there. So when we're happy with the speed and the adjustments in here, we want to hit the tick to apply that, and that has now been applied to our clip. Now the other way to do this with more advanced controls, let's select on our clip, let's choose speed, but this time we're going to go with curve. Then in here we've got some presets that we can use for different speed controls. So we've got things like montage, hero, bullet, and you can see those graphs or those lines. That's an indication of what the speed is doing at those times. So this one here, for example, jump cut. It's starting out at a lower speed. It's then ramping up to a peak, a really fast speed, and then it's coming back down to its slow motion phase. And if we just press on these, then that's going to apply. So we're starting slow. It's speeding up. Hit that top little whip bit, and then it's slowing back down. So we can either use these presets that are here, we can edit them up to customize them up further, or we can come across here to custom and we can create something totally custom ourselves. So we press custom, let's press edit again, and we're given this little graph here that we can manipulate to speed up and slow down our clip as we need to. So that yellow line where it is right now across the middle, that is 1 time, so regular playback speed. If we want to increase some of the clip, let's maybe have it play faster at the start, we can increase this one here for the start. And you can see as it plays through, this little timeline indicator here is showing you what piece of the clip you're affecting. So this first bit here is fast. Maybe this next bit here, we will speed up as well. And then about here, we could slow this down. So we're going to slow down for this section here. Then yeah, maybe we'll slowly bring it back up to full speed. Let's hit play on this and see what this looks like. And again, we've got that option down the bottom here to make it smoother. Once we're done, we want to hit the tick to apply that, tick again, and our speed adjustment has been made. Now, if you do want to reverse a clip or play a clip backwards, that's actually in a separate area. So you still need to have the clip selected there. You then want to come across here until you see reverse, which is down here. We press on that. It's then going to go through and analyze your clip, reverse it all for you. And this clip now is now the opposite. So it's now playing backwards. Now let's say that you want to remove the background from your video. You don't need to use a green screen or a blue screen these days. Capcut has an amazing built-in effect, which will help you do it really, really easily. Obviously, you can use a green screen and a blue screen as well. I'm going to show you both methods in this video. So to start off with, I'm just going to duplicate our last clip here where I'm talking. So I'm going to select the clip. I'm going to come across to copy. So you can see we've got a new version of that clip here in our timeline at the end. These last two clips are exactly the same. To remove the background from it, we just need to select on it. Then we come across here to where it says cutout. Then we just choose remove background. It's gone through and it's really, really quickly analyzed our clip and the background has been removed. So you can see already that it's just a plain black background now. And it's actually transparent. So we could put whatever we want as the background behind that. Or it also means that we could move this layer up and put it on top of some of our other footage. So I'm going to press back here now. I'm just going to select on the clip again, and I'm just going to press overlay. And this is going to transition this clip from our main primary timeline up to be an overlay clip. So if we press on this, you can see it now shows up as a regular overlay clip. And if we pick this clip up and put it on top of our other video layer there, you can see that that background has been removed. Now, if we look at this, you can see that I am cut out from the background and I'm now on top of the computer screen that I'm showing. So with this clip though, if we select it, we can tap and pick it up. We can reposition it. We can scale it up and down if we needed to. All of this super, super fast and easy. And one thing to note with the way that I just did this then by duplicating the clip, we actually duplicated the audio as well. So I want to make sure that on this bottom clip, this new one, the overlay one, I want to hit volume and I just want to drop this down to 0 so that we're only hearing this audio play once. Pretty easy to do, right? Now, just as easily, we could have gone and imported a totally new background. So I'm just going to press the plus button here. We're going to come over to stock videos at the top. So we're going to access Capcut's stock footage library. And I'm going to search here for background, see what comes up. Okay, this one here looks pretty good. Let's import that. Let's hit add. So we've now got this background clip here. We could then pick up our overlay clip and let's drag it over the top of this clip. And you can see what it looks like here with this different background. Again, we could scale it up a bit more, maybe move me across, something like this. Lots of different options. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just remove these now. Select on that clip, press delete. Let's delete the background as well. And let's say that you've got some footage that was filmed on a green or a blue screen. How would you remove the background then? I'm going to come across here to import. So we're going to hit that plus button again. Let's go to stock videos and let's just search for green screen. Just so we've got some examples here that we could use. Maybe this person here on their phone. Let's press on this. Let's add this to our timeline. So if we want to remove the green from this, we can select on the clip. We can come across here to cut out again. Now you could just use the AI tool that we just used, the background removal, or there is a dedicated chroma key function here, which will remove a specific color. Green in this case. So we can press here chroma key. It then says drag to start picking a color. So we want this green here. We then come down the bottom here to where it says intensity and we increase this slider until the green is gone. So somewhere around here till most of that border is gone. Likewise, we do want to increase the shadow a little bit in most cases, just for a better, sharper result. Probably around here, let's hit the tick to apply that. So the background now has been removed for that clip. So again, if we want to then put this on top of some of our other footage, we do need to promote this clip or transition it into an overlay clip. So with it selected, we want to press on overlay and then we can pick it up and move it where we would like it. So here in this case. Now, if you've got handheld or shaky video footage that you want to stabilize, Capcut has an amazing built-in stabilization effect that you can easily apply to your clips. So I've got this extra clip here in the timeline now, and if I just play this, you'll see that it's not too stable. It's a little bit shaky, it's a little bit jittery. We're going to fix that, but let's play it first. There's a little bit shake there. The overall panning around or looking around, it's not that fluid. It's not bad. It's definitely a little bit shaky there as well, right through to the end. So, I mean, it's usable. It's not terrible, but it's not fantastic either. So we can make this look so much better by stabilizing it. So we want to press on the clip to select it. We can then come across to where it says stabilize down the bottom here. Now here we've got this slider from no stabilization, which is the default setting here. We've then got one here for minimal cropping, recommended, and most stable. So let's just put it here on recommended. Let's see what that looks like. So the way that this works is analyzing your shot and it's picking up all the shake in it, and it's then got to zoom in on the shot so that the new stabilized shot isn't bouncing around out of the frame. It's actually reframing the shot, zooming in on it so that it all fits and so that it looks good. So our three options here, minimal, recommended, and most stable, these are really different degrees of how much we're going to be cropping in or zooming in on those shots as well. Okay, so let's play through this now. Yeah, already that little jitter at the start is pretty much gone. Even the panning around, it just looks so much more fluid. There's still a little bit of movement, but nothing like how it was. That last bit there was a bit of shake there before, which is gone now. So it looks so much better. And just to show you, let's move this here to most stable. And you can see that it's zoomed in just a little bit more. It's not too drastic here. Obviously, if you've got footage that's really, really shaky, it might want to zoom in quite a lot for you to be able to stabilize that and do a good job. Let's play through this now. Yeah, there's really no movement at all now. But it is a little bit tighter. It's a little bit zoomed in. Much smoother. Yeah, even that section there was really no movement at all. So to apply this, I'm happy with that. We want to hit the tick down the bottom, and that clip has now been stabilized. Now we're going to take a look at adding music and sound effects to your videos. Now, while Capcut does include a music and sound effects and stock footage for that matter, library of stuff that you can use in your projects, you want to be mindful of the copyright issues that could arise if you're posting videos made using those things outside of TikTok. A lot of the licensing and everything is okay if you're posting to TikTok. Outside of that is where you could have copyright issues, copyright claims, and at that point, it's really not worth messing with. So that's where for stock footage, we use places like Storyblocks. For stock music, we use Artlist and Epidemic Sound so that we know that the licensing piece is all taken care of. For the purposes of this video though, I'm just going to import some footage from the Capcut music library because we're not going to be exporting this and saving it out with this included. But I will also show you how you can bring in your own music files or ones that you source from other places, like the ones that I suggested. I'll show you how you can add those in and use them too. So to add music from Capcut itself, we want to come down the bottom to where it says audio. And then in here, we've got sounds. This is where if we tap on this, then we get access to Capcut's music library. And you can see it right at the top, we've got the options to pick sounds, which is pretty much everything. And then if we select commercial, this is where it's only going to filter the sounds there that are licensed for commercial use on Capcut and on TikTok. Again, there's no mention of use anywhere else outside of that. But from here, we can either start to search with the search box at the top. We could also swipe through and see what it's suggesting or what's trending here right now. And if we scroll down, then it's going to start recommending some individual tracks for us. So coming back up here, let's have a look at maybe hopeful or something uplifting. And let's say that we want this first track here, That Summer Feeling. We can hit that little download button there over to the right. And then if we find that that's the track that we want to use, then we just hit the plus button. And that's going to add it then into our editing project. And it shows up along the bottom there as its own clip. We can tap on it. We can adjust the start and the end times. We can add cuts and splits and everything in it. We can edit it as if it was a video file. Now let's just go back for a second and let's come back down to audio. So we added sounds then, that was the music. If we want to add in sound effects, then we can come over here to effects and very much the same. We can then search for what we're looking for in the search box. We can go through preview the sound effects and we can hit the download button to add them to our timeline. I'm just going to hit the tick to go back out of here. Now we also have the option in here to record our own voiceover. So if you're creating a video where you want to add some narration, then in here we've also got voiceover down the bottom. Now if you've got music files or sound effects that you've already got saved on your device, so you want to navigate through and find the track that you want to import. I'm on an iPhone, so I've got the track here. I just want to tap on it to open it up. I can then press share, and then I can come down here and press Capcut. So we want to share this track, or open with on Android, open with Capcut. We then get prompted with this box, import audio to Capcut. And we can see now right down the bottom, we've got our other music track added here as well. So that's how easy it is to add music tracks from Capcut itself, but also if you've got other music tracks from other places that you want to add into. I'm just going to go ahead and delete our Epidemic Sound one here. Once all of those are in and you've done that extra pass on your editing and tweaked and adjusted everything, got everything the way that you want it, only then is it time to start adjusting your volume levels to get everything the way that you want it. Now, I strongly recommend that when you are adjusting your volume levels, that you're doing it with a set of headphones on if possible, so that you're getting a good representation of what this is actually sounding like for people listening with headphones, as well as with their computer speakers or TV speakers too. But the first area that we want to get set correctly first is any spoken piece, any voiceover, any narration. Like in this case, it's a video of me speaking. We want to make sure that that volume level is set right first as the priority, because that's the important piece. After that, we'll then adjust the volume levels of the music and sound effects and things to our liking. Again, I want you to remember that this is a creative thing. There is no right or wrong. We want to make sure that our sounds and music aren't too loud so that they're overpowering and sounding really, really bad. We also want to make sure that they're not too quiet and people aren't needing to turn their volume levels up. But beyond that, it really is personal preference, and it really is a creative thing. So when you're adjusting your volume levels, now that you've got everything in and now that you've got everything placed where you want it, it's a good idea to go through and just to mute your music and your sound effects so that we're only going to hear, in this case, the spoken piece, so we can get that dialed in first. And then we'll do the music and the sound effects afterwards. So I'm just going to select the music track here, and I'm going to go to volume, and I'm just going to drop that right down to 0 so that we don't hear it. Likewise, we'll be doing that with any other audio clips in our timeline too. Then I'm just going to select our first clip in our timeline here, and we're going to get this one set right correctly first, and then we can apply those settings to the rest of our clips. So I'm going to scroll across here till we get to volume, and then in here we've got our volume slider adjustments. If we move it to the left, that's going to lower the volume. If we move it to the right, it's going to increase the volume. Now, generally what I find with Capcut is that it actually does a pretty good job of adjusting the volume levels for you by itself. So unless your clip was way too loud or way too quiet, the app normally does a pretty good job of adjusting that and making it to where it needs to be. Again, for most clips, it's going to be okay where it is, but let's say that we needed to make a volume level adjustment to 95. When we select that, it's going to preview, it's going to start playing your clip so you can hear it. But just below that volume slider, there's a little button here said loudness adjustment. If we then want to apply that volume level to the remaining clips in our timeline, we can just press that button. It's going to adjust the other clips to match that volume level. So if you're using video clips recorded on different cameras or different microphones, this does an amazing job of setting all of those clips to the same level with this loudness adjustment setting. Once you're done, you just want to hit the tick to apply that. And now all of our primary clips have been set correctly. Now, a little pro tip, you're always better off going a little bit under than a little bit over when it comes to volume levels. So once we've got our volume levels sorted on our primary footage, then we can look at music and sound effects and also our B-roll and overlay footage if some of those clips have sound included with them too. So I'm going to do music next. I'm going to select our music track. I'm going to come across here to volume. So we had this turned right down to 0. This is where we're going to bring this back up to get it to where we want. Again, ideally with headphones on, so we're getting a real representation of this. But what we normally find is anywhere around 30 to 35 is around the volume levels. That's a good starting point to adjust from there. So I'm just going to set this here to 30. It's going to start to play it. You could have the world. And for copyright reasons and stuff, I'm not going to continue playing that, but we want to then make adjustments from that point. So if that sounded like it was a little loud for what you're after, then we could drop that a little bit lower. So maybe we'll go 25. You could have the... When you're happy with that, you want to hit the tick to apply that, and that's going to apply to that entire clip. Now, likewise, as I said, with your B-roll or your overlay footage, if we come back, let's hit back arrow down the bottom left-hand corner. Let's go to overlay. Let's scroll across here till we can see our clips. If we press on the clips, then we do have a volume adjustment for these two. Now, these clips, if they did have sound included with them, and I think some of them had some background noise, so we could grab that slider, take it all the way to 0, hit the tick, and that clip has no sound associated with it. Now, if you're looking for more advanced control over your volume levels and you want some sections quiet and then maybe a little bit into your track, you want it a bit louder and then back down again. If you want to do something like that, then that's where you can do it with keyframes, but we cover that in a separate, more advanced video showing you how keyframes work. But the last thing I want to mention here in regards to music, sound, and volume levels is that you can actually apply some different filters and effects in here as well if you're needing to try and improve the quality of your sound. So let's come back over here to the very first clip in our timeline. Let's select that, and these options down the bottom here, you can see that we've got an option down here for noise reduction, to reduce noise. So if we did have, say, an air conditioner on or a fan, or there was some background noise, we can press on this and then we can toggle this on. But if no one clicks on it, and it's going to go through, it's going to process our audio, and it's going to do its best to remove some of that background noise for us. And in my experience, this actually does a really good job. So I'm going to turn that back off now, but that's how easy it is to add music, add sound effects, adjust all of your volume levels to get everything the way that you'd like it. Now we're going to take a look at fixing the colors in your videos, or color grading or color correcting your clips. Now there's two main ways that we can do this here in Capcut. I'm going to take you through both methods. The first method is using filters, so built-in presets. The second one is using manual adjustments. But it's good to get an understanding of both of these, because sometimes it might make sense to use one or the other, or other times you could use a combination. So I want to come back to the first clip in our timeline here, our primary video footage. We want to make sure that that's looking good first, and then we can apply these same looks and effects and things to other clips in our timeline. So with that clip selected, we can come across here and we can choose filters. So I guess you could think of filters almost like an Instagram filter, a preset look or a set of adjustments that you could just tap on and apply it to your videos. So if we go through here, you can see that there's a lot in here to choose from, all different styles, all different looks. And if we just tap on them, it's going to apply a preview of that for us. So obviously at this point, if you're going through and you find something that you like the look of, you could run with that with no further adjustments. You can see you also have a strength slider down the bottom here. So if you like it, but maybe it's too intense, you could dial back the intensity or the strength of it there. So, I mean, even that doesn't look too bad. Let's have a look at some of these other ones. One doesn't look good. Not really my thing. Okay, that's not too bad. It might be a little bit intense. We could dial it back a little bit. That's not bad. So if we wanted to apply that, we could just hit the tick down the bottom right. Or if we wanted to apply this to all of the clips in our timeline, if that was the look that we liked, then we could hit apply to all down the bottom left. So if we go back, then this was the filters area that we tapped on. For more advanced features and controls, and really if you want to color grade or make adjustments yourself from scratch, that's where instead of filters, you want to open up the adjust area. And if we have a look, now that we're in the adjust area, there's really three little video tabs here. We've got filters, which is back where we were, filters. There's also adjust. And then the last one here is video quality. So going back to the adjust panel here, we can start from scratch from here and just apply the settings that we want, make the changes that we want. Or we could even go through, we could find the look that we like the look of. So this one here, this filter, we could then with this selected, come across to adjust and make further adjustments to it. So the two don't have to work separately. I'm gonna go back to filters. I'm gonna hit the little cross on this to remove the filter so that we're starting from scratch here. I'm gonna come back to the adjust tab here, and I'm gonna take you through the key settings in here and kind of the process that you would follow if you wanna make adjustments to your clips and make sure that they are correct. So the first thing you wanna make sure is correct or looking the way that you want is the overall shot brightness and exposure. Now, again, I want you to remember that this is a creative thing. There is no right or wrong here. This is an art form. You get to choose what you want your video to look like. So I'm going to lower the brightness a little bit on this one. I think that looks pretty good. And then from there, I'm going to swipe across until I find the one here, temperature. This is where we can correct the white balance if it was wrong in our camera. Sometimes you might have a shot that might look a little bit too blue or a little bit too yellow or orange, a bit too warm. We can adjust here to compensate for that. So if I swipe to the left, we're removing the yellow or the orange, and we're making our shot cooler. We're adding more blue. If we go the other way, we're going to have the opposite. We're adding more warmth to our shot. So I might have this around here. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to come back towards the start here, and then I'm going to play with the contrast slider. So I'm going to press on contrast, and you can see if we increase this, the black areas are getting darker. We're adding more contrast to our shot. If we go the other way, then we can take some of that out as well. But I kind of like this a little bit more contrasty, maybe something like this. From there, I go to the saturation. So this is the amount of color or the strength of the colors that are in our shot. So if we amplify this, you can see that we are really making the colors intense. That's probably way too much. But likewise, if we go the other way, we're able to take the colors out. So if you're after a grayscale, black and white video, then you can do that here with saturation. But maybe I will increase the colors here a little bit without going too overboard, maybe something like this. And those are the main settings that I'm playing with. As you'll see, like there's lots of other ones in here. So you really can dial things in to a much greater degree if you'd like, but there's really no need to for most videos. If you're just wanting to tweak and adjust and maybe fix some issues with your coloring, then those tools that I've just shown you is really all you'll need. And then at this point here, we can hit the tick to apply it to just this shot, or we can hit apply to apply it to all of our shots. And if you want to quickly preview your before and after, if you just tap and hold on your screen in that playback area, we can see that this was the original. And then if I lift my finger up now, this is what it looks like with those adjustments made. I'm just going to scrub across here to find another clip here. So this one's ungraded. I haven't applied our settings to this clip yet, but there is something else that I want to call out here, which I do think is pretty powerful. It's an effect that's only on the Pro plan here of CapCut, but you can see here we've got auto adjust. Normally in video editing tools and apps, the auto adjustments aren't that good, but the CapCut one is actually surprisingly good. So if you are on the Pro plan or you're looking to upgrade, the auto adjustment here, let me just press it. Let's see what it does here with this shot. I mean, it does a pretty good job without us needing to dive into the settings and things. And obviously here we can adjust this. We could then tweak things further if we needed to, but I'm pretty impressed that the auto adjustment is actually something that's quite helpful and quite usable and pretty good compared to most other tools and apps that are out there. Now I'm going to hit undo to remove that effect. So it's not going to ask us to pay for that at the end of this. But what I will do is go back to our adjusted clip here and I will hit apply to all so that all of our clips here have those same settings applied. I'm going to hit the tick. So that's applying filters or adjustments to an individual clip, but we can also add them to our timeline. So we can apply them to multiple clips as well. So let's go back out of this. So we have no clips selected here in our timeline. And then down the bottom, we've got the ability to press on filters and adjust straight from the main timeline. So let's just press adjust. And let's just, for the sake of me showing you this, I'm going to just grab exposure and I'm going to turn it right up. Like we would never normally do this, but I want to show you how this works. Let's hit the tick to apply that. You can then see in our timeline, we have this adjustment layer and that has that exposure or that brightness setting applied to it. So then just like any of our other effects that we're applying to the timeline level, it's only going to apply where this clip is highlighted. So you can see that now that we've dragged this out, it's also applying to the next clip as well. If we shorten this down, then it's no longer applied to that next clip. So depending on your workflow, you might find it easier in some cases to apply things to a clip level, other times to a timeline level, where you can just drag it out maybe across the entire timeline and have those effects or those filters applied to every clip underneath it. Now inside of CapCut, there is a more advanced way that we can control and adjust and manipulate things like the effects, different controls that we have on our clips and things like volume levels on our music. We can control these at a greater level of detail using keyframes. So that's what this video is all about. I'm going to show you what keyframes are, how they work, and how you can find them so that you know which things you can adjust and control in more detail. So I'm back over in our editing project now. For this example, I'm going to show you how keyframes will work using volume level adjustment. But again, these keyframes are going to behave exactly the same for other things as well. So I'm going to select our music track in the timeline here. I'm going to come down the bottom to where it says volume, and we've got our standard volume slider here. So if we move this to the left, it's going to lower the volume. If we move it to the right, it's going to increase the volume. But what we can do here for more control is we can add some keyframes in. And that's what this little icon is up near the play button. Now let's just say, for instance, that at the start of our video, we want the music playing back louder, and then it's going to reach a certain point. It's going to then slowly turn down or fade down to a lower volume level We're then going to keep that volume level for most of our video, but then towards the end of the video, we're going to start to bring that volume level back up. That's something we can do really, really easily with keyframes. So let's come across to the start of our video here, and we can see the current volume level. We're currently set at around 25 to 28. Let's increase this. Let's make this around 50 now for the start. So right now we've just adjusted the entire clip to be around 50 volume level. So let's say that we wanted it at 50 volume level until around here, and then we want that volume level to start to drop off. I'm going to add a keyframe at this point. I'm then going to come across a little further to where we want the volume at its lowest point. So maybe we'll make it about here. Let's add another keyframe, but at this keyframe, I want to lower the volume down. So let's take it back to maybe 25. All right, so 2 keyframes, we've set 2 volume levels at this point. Let's have a look at what this looks like. So if we just swipe back across here, we can see our volume level here is at that higher point, so around 50. We hit this keyframe here and we can see that slider start to move. It's lowering our volume between those 2 markers, between those 2 keyframes, so much so that when we hit this next one, it's now set the volume level at that point. And it'll stay at that point until we add another keyframe. So let's say that we want about here towards the end of our video that the volume starts to come back up a bit, maybe about here. Let's add a keyframe here. So we're going to keep our volume level at that point until it hits that keyframe. Now let's say that we want it to increase its volume level until about here. Let's add a new keyframe. Let's increase the volume of it at this point. So at this keyframe, the volume level is now 50 and it's going to stay 50 for the rest of our video. We can see what that looks like here. We're still at the lower volume, the 25, and then it's going to slowly increase between these 2 keyframes here until it hits this point, and then it's going to stay at the new volume level. So you can think of a keyframe as saving information related to a clip, an effect, and its properties at that point in time. So at this point in time, the volume level is 50. At this point in time, the volume level is 25, but it transitions or fades between the 2. So we're going to hit the tick to apply that, and that is now done. Now I'll give you another example with keyframes. Let's come across to this overlay shot here where we are typing something into the YouTube search bar there. And maybe we'll add a slow zoom in on this. So I'm gonna tap overlay here to open up our overlay effects. This is our clip here that we want to add this effect to. And I'm gonna come back over here to the start of this clip, and we're going to add in a keyframe. So I'm going to press the keyframe button at the top there, and I'm not going to make any changes to this clip at that point. But let's scroll across towards the end of this clip, probably about here. Let's add in another keyframe, but at this keyframe, we're going to change some properties. We're going to zoom in a little bit on it. So let's pinch to zoom at this point, and maybe we'll adjust the clip downwards as well, something like this. And now when we play through this, we can see that it is zooming in throughout that period. So keyframes, as I said, super powerful way to help you animate, to help you get more advanced controls and functionality out of the things that you've got access to in Capcut. One of the reasons I absolutely love Capcut is how easy they make it to switch between different video formats. So let's say that you started out with a widescreen 16:9 video that you were making to post on YouTube, but then you wanted to reformat it or repurpose it as a TikTok or as an Instagram reel or maybe a YouTube short. Capcut makes that process so easy. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video, how you can easily switch between the different formats. So we've got our 16:9 widescreen video here that we've been editing down throughout this training, and we're going to convert this to a portrait video. So the first thing I want to do though is let's make a backup of this. So we're not going to override and make changes to this. So we're going to hit the X to go back to our main project window here. And then we've got our video here, thumbnail video. I want to hit the 3 little dots on that, and I want to choose duplicate so that we've then got a backup of it. Now our backup is now the one at the top. Let's rename this and let's call it thumbnail video portrait. Let's go OK. Let's open up our new one here, thumbnail video portrait. So with no clips selected, we want to come down the bottom here in our menu bar to where it says ratio. Now in here, this is where we can change our clip format. So you can see already we've got 9:16 selected here. If we wanted to make a 1:1 for say Instagram, we can do that. A 9:16, so portrait, we've got that in here as well. There's lots of different formats that you can choose from here. So we're going to go to portrait 9:16, and we're going to hit the tick to apply that. And already if we just scrub through this, we can see that we've still got all our text, we've still got all our B-roll and animations and stickers and things. Everything's still there, but nothing really fits anymore. But this is also where we've got some creative options here on how we can make this still look good and still fit and still work for this different format. Now from here though, we can come down the bottom to where it says canvas, and we can maybe add in a background color if we'd like to. So we can choose color. Let's pick a color like this. It's very similar to the primal video blue, so we could run with this. Let's hit the tick. So we can see then that we've now got some color in the background before we scale things up and resize everything. So if you've seen those videos before where they've got the video and they've got the text on screen down the bottom, then you could definitely create that look here. We've also got the ability to choose a background blur. So this will use your primary footage, but it'll be blurred out at different levels. So let's hit play on this so you can see it. World's best video, but if no one clicks on it, no one. Okay, so it's really easy to create that look in here as well. But we can also obviously scale up our clips and reformat everything as well. So if we select on our clip, then we can just pinch to zoom on it and we can scale it up. Now you might want to still see some of the blur behind. That's totally up to you. Or you could keep scaling this up until it was scaled up to fit perfectly in that size. We can also then move across to the left or to the right to center things up the way that we want them. So let's just hit play on this and see how this looks. You could have the world's best video, but if no one clicks on it, okay, not bad. So you can see already how fast this can be just to pick things up, to scale them up, to change the look, add a background color or a blur if you need to. And it's just about going through and making adjustments to these things to look how you want them to look in this new format. So let's come across to this next clip here. This is where we've got some B-roll on screen, but obviously I'm also talking in the background there. We might choose to show both. So I could select the clip here of me, I could move it to the top and maybe we scale it up a little bit, something like this. And then if we tap on our overlay footage, just come down here to overlay, there's our overlay clip there. We could scale that up down the bottom to where we want it, maybe something like this, so that we're actually seeing both on screen. Or we might just want to do what we had done before and just scale this up fully, something like this. So to help you with this, you need to make sure that your thumbnail images are grabbing people's attention. So it's just a matter of going through and selecting your clips, scaling them up, repositioning them to where you want them so that it looks the way that you want. Now, if you do have a lot of different clips here in your timeline, if you are on the pro version of Capcut, there is a new auto reframe feature. So let's just select a clip here and let's just come across to where it says auto reframe so we can see that it's a pro feature here. If we press on this, we can then choose our 9:16 and let's hit the tick to apply this. It's then gone through this clip and it's going to move it around to adjust this for us based on what it thinks is happening in the scene. So you can see it's added some extra movement in there following the movement of my hands. So it's pretty cool they've got this feature built in, but right now, I think it's almost just as quick to quickly tap on each clip, pinch to zoom, position it where you want it, move on to the next one. So let's come back to the start here. Now, another thing you can easily add in here at this point is adding captions on screen or your subtitles. So let's come down the bottom here to text and let's choose auto captions. And this is going to automatically generate here for us from video. So it's going to listen to what's been said in the video. It's going to transcribe it, type it all out and turn them into titles for us. We can also choose some templates and things in here as well. I'm just going to leave this as none for now. So we get basic titles because you can add your templates and things afterwards too. I'm going to choose start. It's going through, it's creating our captions for us. It then gives us a preview here where we can go through and we can make adjustments to this. We can correct any typos or any mistakes. I'm just going to hit the tick to apply this right now. And then if we scroll through here, we can see that we now have that text on screen. So I'm not actually seeing them down the bottom yet, but if I swipe up on this bottom area, then we can see that we actually have a title card here for each one of these titles. So let's just say that I don't need this first one because we've already got world's best video on screen. So I could press delete on that one. Likewise for this one, we probably don't need that one, but maybe we'll have the text start around this point. No one's going to see it. So let's press on one of these and we can see what level of customization information we get. We can adjust the style. Again, there's some free and paid templates and presets and things in here we can use. Maybe this one here looks pretty good. Let's hit this one. Okay, not bad. Maybe we'll add a background on these so that we can see them on any screen. Let's choose style. I'm going to come across here to style, and let's go to background down the bottom here, and let's add in a background. Maybe we'll make it a blue, and maybe we'll move these up just a little bit. Now we can also add more animation to these as well. If we keep coming across here, we've got animation, and maybe we want these words to feather in or come in line by line, or just fade in, or just rapid fire in. So you can see lots of different options to customize this up. I'm just going to remove the animation there. So we go back to how it was, and back to the start here. We can also adjust our text here so that it's big and bold and stands out. So let's choose here worlds. We can hit edit. Let's scale this up to a specific size. Okay, it's maybe 34. Likewise with the last one. 34, and maybe we will just move these up a little bit as well. Maybe something like this. So once you're done going through and reformatting all of your clips, then you can save that out as its own new video, but still knowing that you've got your original there fully intact as well. Once you've done editing down your video masterpiece, it's time to export or to save out your video. And in Capcut on the mobile app, they make this very, very simple. You want to do a last quick sanity check of your settings here to make sure that everything is how you want it. So at the top here where we've got 1080p, we want to press on that. So in here, again, we can make adjustments to our video resolution. So even though we've been editing in a 1080p timeline here, if we needed to export a lower quality version, so maybe a 720p version, we could make that adjustment. I'm going to leave that at 1080. The frame rate, I would suggest that you're leaving this one alone unless you specifically need to convert your frame rate to a different one. But the setting here that you might want to make adjustments to is the code rate, they call it, or the bit rate, the quality of the video that you're saving out. So the lower the quality, the smaller the file size, the higher the quality, the higher the file size. And you can see it's got its recommended setting there. For most people, especially for web-based videos, you might find that the recommended setting there is all you'll need. But if you do want to export the highest quality video, then that's where you want to bump this one here up to high. But it will mean that you've got a larger file that you're saving out. Personally, I turn off this last setting, Smart HDR. I don't want to convert my videos to a high dynamic range video. Just a regular video is what most people should be leaving this on. But I love that they've included this text down the bottom, estimated file size, 95.1 megabytes. So that if you are needing to get a smaller file size, you're not just really guessing here, low, recommended, or high. It's giving you a ballpark number, ballpark reading there. So if we move this from high to recommended, it's saying that our estimated file size is now about 76 megabytes. So I'm going to leave this here back on high, and then all we need to do is press the share button up in the top right-hand corner, and instantly it's going to start saving out our video for us. That was crazy quick. Once that's complete, it's then got this share window that pops up. If you want to directly share from here to Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, other places as well, we can do that. But that file is actually now saved on our device. So it would be saved in your Photos app. So instead of directly sharing from here, I normally just hit done, so that we are closing that out. I'd then go and open the file, which we can see in my photo gallery here, and we could tap on it and play it from here. And then if everything's all good, then we can share it out where it needs to go from this point. But it is a good idea to play it back, to check it. Ideally, you're listening to it with headphones on, so you're getting a good representation of what it sounds like. If you can, play it back on some different devices before you post it as well. And then when everything is the way that you want it, then you can share that out with the world.